Hi there. Thanks for joining CPG Bytes, a series of short video segments from Treasure Data, where we chat about the latest news and industry trends and read between the lines to provide our perspective and insights. So David, my friend, what do you have for us this week?
Oh, hey, Stephen, I think a pretty exciting topic for you. But first of all, how you doing? You doing all right?
I am doing fantastic. It's summertime and it's warm.
It's always a good thing. I mean, when we started out these CPG bites, the weather was quite a bit colder. It is nice to be back into warm summer weather. Yeah, I thought we'd talk a little bit about a webinar that Consumer Goods Technology did recently with AB InBev, Anheuser-Busch InBev, and Amazon Web Services. And this page here you see is actually kind of it's basically a transcript of that webinar. So I won't go through the whole thing. It's pretty lengthy, but I would encourage the audience, if they want to go and listen to the webinar. It was quite fascinating. But there's really three things I want to pull out of this that I think is very relevant for our audience. And one of the questions that was asked was really, how does AB InBev's direct-to-consumer initiative, which they've done a lot of work over the last few years, where does that fit into their broader strategy, right? And I think that's a question a lot of CPG companies are asking. Like, how do we think about DTC as is it a channel? Is it how does it fit in with our traditional go-to-market? And the way that ABI sort of framed it, kind of the answer to that is they took a look at it as really fitting into sort of three areas. The first was they're using DTC as a way of collecting data that drives innovation. And I think, Stephen, you and I have talked about this in the past, that you can't think of direct to consumer as just a sales channel. It's a way of collecting data. And that data has value along a number of different, different pathways, if you will. One of them that ABI called out was around innovation, right? This ability to get that data to inform their product development processes and to really learn at a very local, right? Very localized level, granular level, what's working and what's not working from a consumer trend perspective. And so I think that's really, really important. The second area, and this panel is pretty fascinating, is they're using it to better understand a number of their commercial processes, especially around distribution and supply chain, right? In terms of how can they take learnings from direct to consumer and how getting, product to consumer, how can they leverage those learnings and bring them back to their other channels? And how can that better inform some of the activities that they're doing with their traditional retail channels? So again, it's not just innovation from a product perspective, it's innovation from a supply chain, if you will, or distribution channel. And then the third area gets into communication, right? Which is an area that you and I are pretty passionate about from a treasure data and a CDP perspective. But this idea that you have this ability to communicate with consumers essentially one-on-one, and to be able to test different messaging, test different ways of engaging, test different strategies, and almost do like A/B testing, see what works, see what doesn't work, but then use that. It's not just about that engagement, it's about taking those learnings and leveraging them across your other communication channels. So, I guess at the end of the day, what ABI is doing is they're taking DTC as this kind of core capability, and they're taking the learnings from that, from an innovation perspective, from a distribution perspective, and from a communication perspective, and then broadening that out into their more traditional channels. So it almost becomes this like incubator of ideas, incubator of innovation along those different lines. And where I think that the rubber meets the road, shall we say, is the fact that there's all this data, and how are they managing all of this data, and how are they then taking that from all these different sources and enriching it and leveraging that from a basically from a data platform or data management perspective. And that's what I'd like to talk to you about in our next session, is how treasure data is helping them from a CDP perspective manage all of this myriad of data and helping them get value out of it.
No, that's fantastic, and you can see how even my cat is fascinated by this topic as he's walking around here. But what to your point, David, it's really fascinating to know that obviously people, the CPG brands, start to go into DTC because that's another channel for them to go into. But the unexpected side effects of this is that they are actually using the data to better themselves to get better product innovations, better themselves for distribution channels, because that's so important for the CPG brands. And finally, how do you better communicate to your customers? That is truly kind of an unexpected side effect of the DTC channel, and that's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting about ABI is that they got they started on this journey several years ago and kind of test and refined and didn't let perfection be the enemy of the good. So I think they had a really agile approach to this. And an old friend of mine always just say, it's good to be good, it's good to be lucky, but it's best to be both good and lucky. And I think ABI was in a great space. They were doing some things really, really well and really innovating. And then when COVID hit, they were prepared to be able to leverage this growth in e-commerce and direct to consumer. So they were kind of ahead of the curve. They got lucky, but it was also because they were doing things very well that they were able to then leverage that and take advantage of it. So I think, again, I encourage people to listen to the webinar. It was just some phenomenal levels of experience. And what I think too is, there's a lot of excuses people make about DTC, right? It's, people aren't going to buy our product, or our product's heavy to ship, and so on and so forth. Think about the hurdles that basically an alcoholic beer distributor has to deal with, right? And the legality and all these things that they were able to overcome. A product's heavy. It's in, it needs to be refrigerated, as an example, kept cold. It's a heavy product. I mean, they didn't let those hurdles stop their innovation. And I think that's another important aspect of this is you got to sometimes think outside the box, and don't let traditional thinking stop you from transforming.
Oh, I love that. That's well said and well summarized. Thank you, David, for all those insights, and thank you for joining us. As you heard, we're going to be talking a deeper dive next time into AB InBev and kind of how they're actually doing all these fantastic stuff. So for more videos like this, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on the bell for all notifications. We will be back in 2 weeks with more topics for CPG Bites. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.